So this man would use the excuse of not having a father for everything. This story is going to change your life. Every wrong decision this man made, he always used that as an excuse. For example, the mother of his child said, "Why don't you spend time with your son?" He could literally use your guidance. He said, "Well, I didn't have a father growing up, so I don't know how to be a father." So she told him, "I didn't have my father growing up." He jumps up and wanted to play the victim role. "Well, you not a man like me. I'm a man. I need my father. You don't need your father because you had your mother." And when he started screaming and yelling and going hard, she returned the favor. With tears flowing down her eyes, she points at him in his face and says, "This is why I hate that I didn't have a father. Because if I did have a father, I wouldn't have picked you to have kids with." So he laughs in a joking way and says, "So you gonna blame that on your father, huh?" She said, "Ain't that the same thing you doing with your son? You don't spend time with him because you blaming that on your father." He get mad. He say, "You know what, B, I don't got time for this," and storms out. And this woman would call him every month at least and ask him, "Can you spend time with your son?" He got tired and felt like she was nagging, so he cut her off. Every woman he dealt with, he got caught cheating. He would always say, "I didn't have a father growing up." Times that he went to jail and people would ask, "Why you keep going to jail?" He would use the excuse, "I didn't have a father growing up." And when he would go out begging for money on the streets, people would ask him, "Why you ain't trying to do nothing with your life?" And he would say, "Because I didn't have a father growing up." 12 years go by. He goes to a bar to get a couple of drinks because it's a game on that night. It's actually the Super Bowl. So he's watching the Super Bowl. When he goes to the bar, he goes in mid-game and realizes that he's watching somebody that has the same exact name as him. And his name was Antoine Smith Jr. That's kind of crazy because his son's name is Antoine Smith Jr. Antoine scored 3 touchdowns in the first half, and he just scored another touchdown in the first half. So he's thinking that it's pretty cool somebody has the same exact name as him. And then when they popped up a picture of the young man, he realized it was his son. Then he starts freaking out like, "Oh my God, that's my son. That's my son." So he whips out pictures and showing everybody in the bar, "Look, that's my son. That's him when he was a child." And everybody like, "Oh my gosh, that's your son? That's crazy. He's like the biggest NFL star right now." Now he's thinking in the back of his head that his sons probably still would want to have a relationship with him. So he's crying that his son had made it. At this moment, he feeling like a proud father to see his son in the NFL. On one of the biggest stages in the world, all the A-list celebrities are there. He feels really proud to be his father. And everybody around him is buying him drinks because your son is a NFL star. So later on that night, his son wins a NFL championship. Everybody in the bar is going crazy, telling him congratulations. He's crying. He's happy. People are taking pictures with him and everything. So next thing you know, after the game is over, they start interviewing the players. And he got the MVP for that game and the MVP for that year. So they asked him on the biggest stage in the world, "Listen, we seen you give your all year and year and year again. You are going to go down in history as one of the greatest players that ever played this game. What was your drive to do so?" This young man said, "I seen my mother struggle. And when I grew up, I didn't have a father in my life." He said, "I didn't have a father to tell me to do the right thing. I didn't have a father to guide me the right way. Now, I could have been like my father and made the wrong decisions and blame my father for not being there. But when I was growing up, I decided to use my father as an example. I wanted to make sure that he was somebody I would never grow up to be." He said, "I wanted to be the opposite of my father. So I did everything that my father wouldn't do. And every time a decision was hard for me, I felt like all I thought about was what would my father do, and did the opposite." So then the young man grabs the interviewer wrist and says, "I want to say this one last thing." He said, "My father always made the excuse of his father not being there, so he didn't know how to be there for me. Then he takes a deep breath and start getting really emotional. Then he says, I am living proof that if you make the right decisions in life, you can put yourself in the right place in life. Then he put the nail in the coffin and says, so to my father, if I haven't thanked you for anything, thank you for not being in my life. Because now I truly understand accountability. Everybody in the bar looked at his father disgusted. They believed that he raised this man to be great, but his absence made him great. He used the excuse that his father wasn't there, so he couldn't figure out life. But when his son grew up to be in a better position than him, he only did it because he didn't use any excuses. I hope this gives you a different perspective on excuses. Excuses will keep you stuck in life. Accountability will help you grow in life. Now let me know what y'all think in the comments, and make sure you follow for more content like this. But to all the cool people that follow me, I'm gonna see you in the next video.